Welcome to Real Conversations with Lashawnda, where I cover raw topics with you about business life, help you discover things about yourself, and give you clarity on your goals, your visions, and desires. So grab your journal, pour a glass of wine, and let's dive right in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Conversations with Lashawnda. I know it has been a while since I actually made a new podcast. But, with virtual school going on, there's a lot of transitions going on in my life. And I just felt like, there's a certain time to do certain things. And I just was not in a position to be able to record. But I am here now. I'm super excited because I have so much to share with y'all. I don't even know what I'm going to name this podcast, honestly, because I'm going to be talking about so much. So we will just kind of see. I don't have any notes today. I have so much on my mind that I want to get out. So I'm just going to really let this flow and just let whatever I say just come out naturally without worrying about notes. So a couple of things, we're close to election time. And let me just say, it is very scary. It is very scary about what's going on in elections. This is one of the biggest ones that we've had in a long time, and it's going to be bad regardless of who wins. Just being honest, that's just my belief. Just knowing how strongly each side feels about their potential president winning the election, it is going to be very, very chaotic after this election. And I'm not here today to talk about that right now. I may make a whole nother podcast in reference to that. But just know that as a Black person in America, it is very scary to know that white supremacist is being backed by our president. And because of that, it's I've been on TikTok a lot lately, and I follow this one guy, and he actually interviewed one of the Proud Boys, and he literally was like, the president told us, oh my God, I know y'all probably heard that. I don't know where it came from though. Literally, the president told them to stand back and stand down. And that's very scary to know that he's telling white supremacists to wait on his call, pretty much. So because of that, it's sorry, I'm getting messages on my phone and other stuff. Hold on. Okay, because I'm recording this on my phone. So, it is what it is. We're just going to go with it. But it's very scary because in this interview, this dude basically was if President Trump doesn't win, and he was one of the Proud Boys, I guess one of the top representatives of them. And he was if Trump doesn't win this election, that people are going to die. It's going to start civil war. And they have their guns ready. They're just waiting on a call. They're waiting on their orders. And also they said that they have people in certain positions that are making certain calls on certain things that are going on in the world that we're not even aware of, that they're a part of. And it's just very scary to know that there are really people out here waiting to kill these Black people. And even with police brutality, polices are getting away with this stuff. So it's just a very scary time to be living in right now. I never felt or I never thought that I would be, living and feeling like I'm in the 1950s during segregation. But I honestly feel very close to that. Obviously it's not as bad as it was then. It's a lot more strategic and secretive. So because of that, with me raising two boys, it's almost I'm trying to figure out the best way to acknowledge to them, the reality of what's going on right now without causing them to create hatred for white people. Because I feel there are some good white people in the world. I actually date a white man right now. My boyfriend is white. And I believe that they're just some bad apples. But anyways, with that being stated, it's just really hard for me to know how to handle this as a Black mother raising two Black men, how to interpret and how to handle this type of situation at the age of 8 and 11. But aside from that, this is not a podcast on political issues and things like that. I just had to say that because that is top of my mind. Well, yesterday I lost my job, and that was very, very interesting to say the least. I was at my job on and off for about 9 years. I worked as a server, and I will not say the name of where I worked, but the environment was very toxic. Like, just being honest with you, like, they have lost pretty much all of their loyal employees due to a toxic environment, just unfair treatment. And I was trying to hang in there because, even with you doing business stuff and trying to pursue your business, it's always good to have something part-time to be able to, kind of sustain you just in case. But everything kind of went down whenever quarantine happened, because I was originally supposed to leave in March to pursue doing classes in person for my business, but obviously I wasn't able to do that anymore because everything was literally shut down. Like, I had paid for my space for the classes and everything, and I had to postpone my classes because we literally was in quarantine. Like, we couldn't go anywhere. And I decided to stay there, once things started opening back up temporarily, because, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen like the end of the year, next year, whatever. So I decided to just continue working there, despite the fact that it was a toxic environment. Well, things happen, and I'm not even upset at the fact that things happened the way it did. It's like one of those things where when you see a person and they show you who they are, you have to believe that. And I believed it, but you also have to, you can't get mad at them when they do certain things that they're capable of. You know what I'm saying? And so when the situation went down yesterday, I couldn't even be mad, because at the end of the day, I know it's really hard for me to be employable. And why I say that is because, for one, I have 2 kids. I'm a single mother. I'm really the only one that takes care of my kids. Like, they don't go to their dad's house every weekend or anything like that. Like, it's literally me and my mom. And my mom, she keeps them when I am at work. But at the same time, my mom works too. So that leaves me a very limited amount of time that I can work. And now, because of the COVID situation, we've been doing virtual school at home, and literally, like, I am hands-on during school hours. Like, I don't know how people are working from home and doing virtual school with their kids, because I'm literally clocked in as a teacher from 9:15 to 4:15 with my kids, because it's constantly things that I have to help them do and help them find. And, it's one of those things where you're on call or on standby during school hours, pretty much. And so because of that, it's very limited to the amount of jobs and things that I can pursue during this time period, because even if I work at night, it's going to be very hard for me to jump from doing virtual school at 4:15 and then being at another position at 5. And a lot of the times the position require you to be there before then. And it's just a whole situation. So I just say I'm unemployable, because I know that due to my circumstance, even before, COVID, they basically rely on you, or they expect you to sacrifice your life and the things that are important to you in order to have that job. I remember when I was trying to pursue something full-time in a different field, because I hate serving. Like, I'm a really good server, but I absolutely hate it. I hate working for tips. I hate making $2.13 an hour and then being reliant on customers to tip me. Even though I get good tips here and there because I provide excellent service, it's really not the responsibility of the customer to pay your bills. Like, they came there to eat. And it's really, even though it's supposed to be a requirement that you tip, it's not a requirement. Like, there's no obligation that anybody has to tip anybody that works in the service industry. So because of that, it fluctuates how much you can make. And I just want to get out of that industry, because it's like, I can't tell my landlord, hey, I didn't make as much this week like I made last week because they were slow. They don't care about that. Like, they want their money. Like, run me my coins, okay? And so when I was trying to get another full-time job, it seemed like everybody, like any industry that I was going in was like, I need you to work from like 12 to 9 or like 12 to 10. And it's like a full-time job, and sometimes it's required overtime. And I'm like, I just can't work that type of position because my kids at the time, before quarantine and stuff, like they're in school from 9 to 4. And how am I going to work from 12 to 9? Like I literally will never see my kids, for one. And then two, like who's going to help them with their homework? Like I don't have that type of luxury to have someone to be able to, be a mother to my kids while I'm at work. Like it's my responsibility to make sure they get their homework done, make sure they're in bed on time, get up and do, like, it's my responsibility at the end of the day. And so I just felt like because of those circumstances, and a lot of jobs don't allow you to just start working from 9 to 5 when you first come in. Like you normally get a really bad or, not ideal schedule when you first start working. So I knew I had to make the decision to work for myself or work doing something on the side so that I could bring in the income that I needed in order to support my family and in order to be able to put my kids first and be there and hands-on with my kids. So, like I said, now I'm put in a position where I'm really having to bet on myself right now because I don't want to instantly jump and try to apply for another job because I really wanted this to be my last job. Like that was really my goal. It's a really scary situation because now I know that I'm really only able to work on the weekends, and who's going to hire you just to work on the weekends? Right? So because of that, it's really scary for me, but it's also kind of exciting because at this point, I know I have the skills required to become successful, but it's the fear of the unknown. The last time I quit my job to work in my business full time, things were going good at first, but then when things kind of slowed down in my business, because anybody that's a business owner knows that business can be stagnant and, good some months and bad on other months, it really caused me to go in a hole. And when I went in a hole, I almost lost everything as a result. And so because of that, I kind of held on to my employment as a safety net, because I'm like, I don't want to put myself in that position again. But I also cannot roll over and let people treat me any kind of way. Like I'm just not built that way. I know my self-worth. I know my value. And I just wish that companies would be better with showing the appreciation that they have for their good staff. Like, be more appreciative and show that you appreciate your staff being dedicated to the position and doing a good job and bringing success to your company. Because no matter how much you're paying them, if they're giving your company results, they're giving your company results. And you can't just treat anybody any kind of way and expect them to still come in and just smile and do their job, because it doesn't always work that way. There are some people that will, but there's also some people that won't. But when you know that you're that person that won't, you have to make sure that you're putting yourself in a position to be like, look, I'm gonna be good regardless. So I'm not gonna stand for this. I'm gonna choose to stand for myself, which is what I decided to do. Because I was offered, technically, I wasn't fired, but I feel like I was. And I felt like based on how everything went down, there was no reason for me to come back to that place of employment with that type of toxic environment and that type of toxic treatment to their staff. So now here I am creating this podcast. I told you I had a lot on my mind. But that's going to take me into the next thing. I find it funny that I went viral on TikTok like last week. And I don't know what the definition of viral is, but it was viral to me. Like my video got over 200,000 views. I think it's at like maybe 250,000 views right now. But as a result of me going viral on TikTok in such a short period of time, I've gained over 11,000 followers on TikTok. And I'm like, wow, like this is crazy how fast that this was able to happen. And I'm like really excited about that. Like I can monetize my TikTok now. And even though they don't make a lot right now, it's just the principle of the fact that I can monetize it if I want to. Like I have that option. And I've really been making moves to, really put myself back in a position to start doing my business stuff again. Because I had stopped doing my business during quarantine and just allowed myself to take a break because it was so much going on with quarantine and COVID and election and virtual school and all these things. Like, I literally felt like I didn't have the capacity to continue trying to pursue a business full time because it was a lot going on. So now, I'm completely re-energized. I'm motivated. And this motivated me even more after this circumstance. Like, it really motivated me to, like, really bet on myself and give myself 100%. Because I feel like if you can give a company 100% and dedicate yourself to them, it's just as easy for you to, It's just as easy for you to dedicate that same energy to yourself and give yourself results. Because you can become your own boss. And if I put the same amount of effort in on what I want to work on and what I desire, I can be so successful versus doing what's comfortable and going into a job just because I know how to do the job. I have 9 years plus of experience in serving, so it's easy for me to just like do that. But just because I know how to do it doesn't mean that I should. And I'm learning that. And because I've had such a traumatic experience, almost losing things before when I was full time, I think that creates that fear of like, is that going to happen again? But the difference is when that happened last time, I was not aware of law of attraction. I was not aware of your vibrations and your energy and the universe giving you what you're giving the universe. So it was like a spiral effect. Like one bad thing happened after another. And I just basically like, I gave it under pressure. Like I really folded. Like I was like, I'm not good under this type of pressure. So I couldn't even show up for myself at that time because I was so messed up under pressure. But, now I'm like, I know law of attraction. And I know the same thing can happen if I continue to have this fear and, allow myself to manifest that into existence by giving that energy. So I really want to try something different this time and really try my best to manifest a different result. But I also know that I still have to do the work. Like I have to show up for myself, which is why I'm creating this podcast. And I'm probably going to create more than this one because I have a lot that I want to talk about with you guys. And I haven't been able to create podcasts since I did my intro. So what am I saying? Why am I telling you guys all of this? I want you to take my story as motivation. I want you to take my story as motivation. I want you to understand that even if you're working for someone, if you have that burning fire in your heart to start a business or to pursue something that is outside of what you normally would pursue, I want you to allow yourself the opportunity to explore those type of things and find another way to make money. Because if you come into the same situation with me that I'm in right now, where unfortunately I'm not working, like this was not how I planned on leaving this company. If you don't have a savings or something to back you up, then you're going to be in a really tough position. And like for me, I have a small savings. It's enough to get me by, to give myself the opportunity to get results. But with me not trying to work for anybody else, it's like that's a clock that's ticking. Now the good thing is I have another job that I couldn't go to worst case scenario, but I don't want it to become worst case scenario. So I don't even want to make that as an option for myself. I don't even want to make that an option. So I'm going to leave this podcast here. I know it may feel like I did a whole rant. This was probably just a rant podcast, honestly. But I really hope that you got some type of value out of this. I ain't going to say I learned a lesson because I already knew the type of company I was working for. But I really I'm really at a place now where I'm like, Shonda, it's time. Like this is your time to show up for yourself and show yourself and show everybody else what you're truly capable of, because I can do it. Like, this is my pep talk to myself, and hopefully this is a pep talk to anybody that's listening to this as well. Show up for yourself the same way you would show up for another company. Show up for yourself the same way you're willing to show up for another company, because I promise you, you're going to treat yourself better than anybody in any company you will ever work for will. They will not treat you the same way that you'll treat yourself. And when you treat yourself valuable and you treat yourself with respect, you will not allow anybody else to treat you with disrespect. You will not allow anybody else to treat you as if you're not on the same playing field as they are. You're not going to allow certain things, and you're going to have certain expectations when it comes to how people treat you, how people talk to you. And it's okay for you to have to turn the other cheek and go a different direction to stand up for yourself. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to put yourself in that position, you have to be ready to make the moves required in order for you to be okay regardless. So that's what I have for you guys today. I hope you really enjoyed this podcast. I'm going to be recording another one probably right after this. I'm sorry that my phone was blowing up during this podcast. Like, people are finding out that I'm not working at my job anymore. So everybody's like hitting me up on Messenger and stuff like that. But I will see you guys and chat with you in my next podcast.